Hi, we're your hosts, Dr. Michael
Girl.
and welcome to season 6 of Magical People Live. You may remember me from my television shows in the 1980s and 90s, and now I host two regularly live streamed virtual magic shows. One is a showcase for some of the greatest magicians in the world, and the other is a talk show featuring some of the most inspiring conjurers of our times. Welcome now to Magical People. And I want to all welcome you to another show of season 6 of Magical People Live. It is going to be amazing because we've got my friend Chris McAuley, the author, and we're going to go somewhat in depth with his credits and a few tips for potential authors out there as well. But first, I'd love to maybe try an experiment of the mind with Cheryl. If you're ready, Cheryl, should we try to mind boggle them?
Sure. Why not?
Well, that's exactly why not? So I think we'll do this one. Maybe we will bring up one of our guests from our virtual audience. It's Kevin Peel. How are you this day, Kevin?
Hey, I'm good. Just
Hello.
just got here in time for the show. Been out, so
Ah, I'm so glad you can make it. Um, Before we get started, I'm excited. I want to mention, because you've been kind enough to have me on your show a couple of seasons already, the Open Mic Magic Theater on Wednesdays. What time is it on Facebook?
so 9 p.m. UK, 4 p.m. USA Eastern Time, 1 p.m. USA Pacific Time.
Excellent. And I highly recommend it, not just because I'm in it, but because of all the other artists in it who are amazing. You always manage, Kevin and actually Robina, who is in our audience as well, to corral, to gather a great amount of talent, not counting myself, for your entertainment out there. It's always free. So please check out Open Magic Theater on Facebook, and hopefully we'll see you all there. That's very exciting because you've changed the logo and you've changed the time a wee bit, and I think it's going to be an even better show this season if that's possible. I'm not just saying that to be nice. I really believe that. So we're going to try something. This is our first time trying this experiment, Cheryl and I. And I wonder if I should do this. I'm going to ask you, Cheryl, please, right off the top, to perhaps write a prediction and leave it in full view. The writing to yourself, of course, otherwise the audience will be prematurely impressed, if that's possible. How can one be prematurely impressed? We'll have to check on that later. Nonetheless, Cheryl is writing a prediction. And what I can tell you right now is it's probably a playing card, since I do have, and you can just hold that up for everybody. Excellent. Excellente. Um, since I've got a deck of playing cards here, and a lot of folks think I don't play with a full deck, but in fact I do. I just want to emphasize for everybody as well, Kevin, we have prearranged nothing. Is that correct?
Absolutely nothing, and the money's already in the bank.
Thank you. I appreciate
No,
it.
absolutely nothing at all. Nothing at all.
Absolutely true. He doesn't have a clue as to what I'm about to present. In fact, I don't have a clue as well. However, we shall attempt this. There is one card in this deck that I've stuck in the deck. It doesn't belong there. It's got a different colored back, and I randomly chose it. I did not consciously make a decision about the card. I spread out a pack of cards. I selected one. I turned it over and placed it into this other pack of cards. And I tell you, folks out there, if we do manage to succeed in this experiment, it will be somewhat of a minor miracle for a number of reasons. So, Kevin, please, I'm going to ask you if the name of a playing card
Okay,
pops
the
into your
Knight
head.
of clubs.
I'm sorry?
9 of clubs.
The nine of clubs. And again, there was no coercion of any kind.
No.
Uh, and I am expecting a few dollars in the mail. I'm just kidding. I am kidding. The nine of clubs. So we're going to go through this. And I tell you, if this does succeed, folks, it'll be a first for me. No, I see one here. And amongst all of the other cards, there is the one, and we're revealing my selection previously, the nine of clubs. And just to prove to everyone, I did take it out from the pack. It does have a different colored back. But more importantly, if that's possible, I'm going to ask that Cheryl, if you're ready, Cheryl, I'm going to ask, please, that you reveal to everybody the prediction you made before we even started.
Uh-oh.
And
One of these things.
there we go.
Wait, it almost had it.
Right in front of you. Just put it
Oh, that's
right.
right.
There we go, like that. And
Hey, 9 of clubs. Fantastic.
Ah,
there we go. Nine of clubs. Another miracle. I want to thank you so much.
miracle.
I want to thank you, Cheryl, for participating. And Kevin will look forward to seeing the Open Mic Magic Theater on Wednesday. Thanks again.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks a lot.
Oh, that was fun. I was a little bit nervous because that was our first time presenting this effect. What do you say? I'm almost tempted to try this again on Kevin's show, Kevin and Rabina's show in a few days, and really torture both of ourselves. What do you think, Cheryl?
Sure, sure. Let's
We're
torture ourselves.
absolutely, we're up for the challenge. And at this point, I believe I would like to bring a good friend of mine. I love his works of fiction. He's going to elaborate a lot more on that when I say works of fiction. I'd like us all, please, to put our hands together for the amazing Chris McAuley. Yay, there's
Well, I'm
Chris.
not sure how I'm going to be able to top that after that trick. I have a great love for magic. You just remember you tried to teach me some magic tricks. God help
That's
you.
That's the other thing Chris and I share in common, besides a love for his genre, or genres, I should say, is magic. You're a magician, we'll say a hobbyist magician, lives right now in Edmonton, Canada. Is that right, Chris?
Yes, so I live in Edmonton. You've written an introduction to one of my books as well, the Blood and Verse book, the Dracula poetry book, because I know you have great love for Dracula. Um, And yeah, I have a great admiration for magicians and for magic and all. Whenever I was a kid growing up, it was the great Paul Daniels I used to watch. I even had a Paul Daniels magic set, but could do none of the
Oh,
tricks.
wow. I've always admired that. We have watched in Canada for many years Paul Daniels, but they didn't market his products. That was, I
No.
suspect, a UK thing, although I could be wrong. I want to boggle people's minds. I've put this together. It's a video of some of your works.
Okay.
And let's just briefly have a look at it so we can just get a small. And there we go. That's just a small sampling of Chris's work, gaming, role playing as well, books, novels, poetry, tons of stuff. And I'm going to cut right to the chase, Chris. I know for a fact that there are a lot of aspiring writers and authors out there. And I'm just going, short of talking about the franchises, I understand because we spoke off camera earlier, you intend to write a lot of original material, i.e., not based on any franchises like Dracula or whatever. I want to get people really motivated here who are watching right here and right now about your process. How will you create the characters? Will you, um, there's a myriad of techniques to do this. I'm a former cartoonist gag writer as well. So we have different formulas how to come up with cartoons and also writing. So I'd like to know your process. And I want people to see that, well, maybe this is possible. Maybe I can come up with this genre or this theme or these kinds of characters. Go for it, please.
Yeah, it's entirely possible. I taught a friend of mine how to write in a week, and he's now published in magazines, and he's up for I think it's a flash fiction competition as well. He's on the long list of that, and he'd never written before in his life. So how I taught him how to do this was, come up with a story. So you've always got to come up with a story. Once you have your story, then you write out, the characters in the story, and you write little bits about them, who they are and how they're going to interact and their personality choices and what they're wearing and all that kind of stuff. Once you have that down, then I go away and I lie down for a couple of hours and I imagine myself in the story. I imagine my characters talking to each other. I imagine myself interacting with those characters in that scenario, all of that stuff. Very, very deep immersion within the story. Then I can go and write because all I'm doing is writing what I've seen in my head. Because that's what
Yeah.
you're doing as a writer. Essentially, you're just writing what you've imagined in your head. You can write, you can read books on this stuff about how to write well and grammar and all that kind of stuff. But if you can't imagine something in your head, you're not going to be able to write. Now, sometimes you can write, and as you write, there's the characters change slightly, or the story changes, and you can explore that. And this is the difference between how they term as pantsing, which is just writing by the seat of your pants, and then plotting, actually plotting stuff out. So at the very start, I used to plot a lot of things out, and now what I do is I kind of just sit and I imagine the characters and I write about them. So that's essentially the process. It's pretty simple.
It sounds simple. And you as a teacher of writing as well, you make it sound simple. But I'm just beginning my own process. For years and years, I've written nonfiction, metaphysical stuff related to performance, magic, etc. But a couple of close friends of mine are aware that I got inspired about a month or two ago to perhaps write fiction and more of the maybe Columbo or Sherlock Holmes genre, murder mysteries, if you will. But I'm so tempted. It's a very long-winded question, but really it is a simple question. I'm tempted to incorporate all the police officers, all the heroes of murder mysteries of the past, male and female, to make my character, but then I'm thinking, well, maybe it should just be me with a different name. How does one ever come up with an original character or set of characters? We'll say a lead character or protagonist in a novel.
For me, it always starts with the story. It always starts with the narrative because the characters have got to fit the narrative in some way. So if you've got a unique narrative, chances are you'll have characters that are fairly unique. I mean, the tropes are there. You talk about detective stuff. You've the hard-boiled detective, who I quite like. He chain smokes and drinks and all that kind of stuff. And then you've got the cozy murder mysteries where it's an old granny who's retired and she's got nothing else to do but solve mysteries, right? So you've always got those kind of tropes. Now the tropes can be very useful. I don't run away from them because whenever somebody's sitting down to read a new book, they want a level of familiarity with the world and with the characters so that they feel comfortable with starting to read and continue on. But you know, you've got to try and turn those tropes into something that is uniquely yours, so that there is some worth to somebody going out and buying your book. That it's not something that they've maybe read before, or you know. And it is a process. I mean, I say, you know, there's a secondary process here, with in terms of writing, that there's a partnership between yourself and the reader. So you write it, but you're helping the reader imagine the movie in their head as well. So the other part of writing process is how you write. So, you know, I tend to write in non-flowery language. I'm quite direct in my prose. I don't explain everything, but I explain enough so that the reader can imagine the scene in their heads. So again, you want to talk about unique characters. Well, you write something, Mike, and Cheryl and I will imagine it completely differently.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the exciting part. It's a very individualized process, and it depends on through whom it's coming to or through or channeled, etc. So I'm excited. I'm just worried about coming up with cliche sort of characters, but I'm pretty sure I know how to avoid that. I want to share with our audience as well few things. And yes, we're going to brag on you a little bit. I know for a fact because you told me this. Um, well, you're one of the authors in a stable of writers
Yeah.
publishing. I believe that is probably Stephen King's publisher, or
It's one of his publishers. Yeah, it's one of his. I mean, God knows how many people publish him. But yeah, it's one of the publishers. I'm doing a kids range with them. Now, not a scary horror based kids range, but actually quite a the first book's based on a board game that we've created within the Stokerverse called Dr. Frankendice, which is a family friendly game.
we're
And
gonna we're gonna show the graphics. You can keep talking.
yeah,
Be
I wrote a novel about it, and it's about a little girl who wants to be an inventor. And Dr. Franken holds this monster making competition every year, and you find out more about it. And she enters the competition, and she starts to build her own monsters. These aren't scary monsters. These are lovely, helpful monsters. You know. So you know, I've written like you showed the graphic earlier, Enchanted. Tales, which is a Christmas themed, holiday themed kids book. There's Candy Tales and Pumpkin Trails, is the Halloween themed book. But all of these things, I term them as for reluctant readers because a lot of kids don't read now. So these are little stories that parents can read, kids they can read themselves, but they're always a level of a little moral message in there. I'm quite old-fashioned when it comes to kids' books. I like there to be something positive that's reinforced, because the world can be quite a scary place. I didn't have Mr. Rogers growing up, but in my when I came to Canada in my late 30s, I started watching Mr. Rogers and Ernie Coombs, and I found they were great sources of inspiration for positive storytelling. So that's what I'm trying to do with the kids' books. And then the second book that's coming out is actually a game book, a choose your own adventure style book about an alien that crash lands in a kid's back garden just as the family's about to have a barbecue. So you've got to help the alien, you've got to collect things to repair his spaceship, and you've all got to do that. You've got to do that without anybody knowing what you're doing. But it's
absolutely.
very much a story about embracing the other within society, no matter what they look like or sound like, and all that kind of stuff. So I try and pepper it in with those sort of positive messages.
Right on. And funny you said that. One of my inspirations years ago as well was Mr. Rogers for my kids show. We also had a thing called Friendly Giant, and that was also an inspiration, but it was always about some kind of positive or self-empowering message for kids that they can draw, that they can play music, that they and the theme song to one of my TV shows was "You can do anything you want, be anything you please." So it's so exciting. I'm going to look forward to reading some of those upcoming works, Chris. Let's say folks want to contact you, perhaps to learn a little bit more about the craft, to learn a little bit more about you. How can they reach you?
Generally, my Facebook's pretty open. I mean, I accept friend requests from most people. So if you want to contact me on Facebook, you can contact me on Facebook. Obviously I co-own the Stokerverse with Decker Stoker. That's what I'm most famous for. We've got our websites there, www.stokerverse.com. The Dark Legacies franchise with various sci-fi stars like Chris Boxleiter and Claudia Christian. You can contact me on the Facebook site for that. But I'm very open about things. So if
Yeah.
you want to contact me, yeah, go ahead.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Don't go away, Chris, because I believe and I'm hoping that Cheryl and I will try another experiment of the mind with you.
Okay.
So, where to start? I don't know if Mick is handy, Cheryl. Um,
No, she's
so,
driving through the snow home from work,
so
so
you'll
she's not
just,
here yet.
all righty. So you'll just blindfold yourself, I suppose. And while Cheryl is doing that, Michael, Dr. Michael is going to show some cards, and it's very, very interesting. They're not the ESP symbols, the standard ones. They're symbols like this, which are, well, actually, some of them are similar to the ESP symbols, but they're not strictly them. And let's give them a wee bit of a mix while we can. I'm assuming you can see nothing, Cheryl. Is that correct?
Can't see anything.
And even if she could, that's just double safety by having her blindfold herself. Um, because these cards are black, there's no way that she can even tell what is where and why and all that sort of thing. So I'm going to spread these out. There should be 5 in all. There are. Hopefully we can see those. And I'm going to ask you, please, Chris, I'm going to run my finger over each card. And I'm going to ask you, please, wherever it feels comfortable. And we've prearranged nothing. Is that correct, Chris?
Yep.
You
You
have
can.
no idea what I'm
I
about
have
to.
no idea. I have
And
no
in
idea
fact,
what's happening.
and in
So just
fact,
stop there. Just there.
here,
That one. Yep. Let's
that's
go for
good
that
enough.
one.
Excellent. All right. So we'll place this one separate from the rest. And we'll hope. We'll see what can transpire from this. Cheryl, right or wrong, I'm hoping that you're going to guess the identity of this playing card.
May I remove my blindfold?
You can.
Okay. Oh,
There we go. So I'm hoping that some kind of color, because each of those symbols is colored as well. And right or wrong, I'm hoping that Cheryl will give a good guess. To be honest, Chris, we tried this recently actually on Kevin's show, and it was a close call, we'll say. So, uh, are you picking up on a color at all, Cheryl?
I am. I
And,
am.
and a shape at all?
I did pick up on a shape too.
Excellent. All right. We're going to try this. She was blindfolded. She couldn't see through this anyway. And Chris did not prearrange anything with us. I'd like you, please, now, Cheryl, what is the color and the shape that you're picking up on? It looks like a
A red circle.
red circle. And believe it or not, we a
It
red
is. There we
circle.
go.
That is amazing. I'm really glad that worked this time, because if not, I think I would just throw
Me
my
too.
hands in the air. And thank you so much, Cheryl. And
Thank you.
Chris, I want to thank you once again for joining us
Thanks for
um,
having me on.
this day.
Thank you, Chris.
Next time, we'll do 10 shows in a row and have you on all.
Yes. A marathon.
Yes, a marathon of delight. And so I also want to thank our studio audience, our virtual audience, if you will, and our audience that joined us on Facebook as well. We are here. When are we here, Cheryl, again?
Every Saturday
You. Okay. We
at four
we are.
o'clock.
It's not a test. This is not a test, kids. We are here every Saturday, 1 o'clock Pacific Coast time. 4 o'clock.
For Eastern.
I did that for you. It's like, where are you coming from? What time zone are you in, Cheryl? And of course, 9 p.m. in the UK. We so appreciate you. We only do this for you guys. We don't do it for ourselves. So we're so thankful that you do join us. And we look forward to, and also tickets are always free on Facebook. So find me on Facebook. It's Magic, Magick Mike.Likey. Find me on Facebook. Um, Peruse our little, if you will, various pages of which we do as well. Just contact me and I'll send you the right way to be in our virtual audience and or our Facebook audience. Thank you so much. We'll see you all really soon. Thank you.
Thank you.